Cole Briggs opened his eyes for the first time in a room made of white walls and cold metal. He did not cry like a baby. He did not feel confused like a child waking from sleep. He simply looked around, processed what he saw, and waited for instructions. Dr. Patricia Lawson stood behind a thick glass window, watching him. Her hands were shaking. She had spent 11 years working on Project Vanguard, and she had watched 46 other subjects die on that same table. Some had screamed for hours. Some had begged for death. Some had simply stopped breathing, their bodies rejecting the millions of nanomachines that were supposed to make them superhuman. But Cole was different. Cole was alive. And when he turned his head and looked directly at her through the glass, Patricia felt something she had not expected to feel. Fear. "Subject 47 is stable," she said into her recorder, trying to keep her voice steady. "All vital signs are normal. Neural integration appears complete. Beginning initial assessment." The year was 2187 and Earth was dying. Not from disease or climate change, though both had done their damage over the centuries. Earth was dying because humans could not stop killing each other. 3 great powers remained after the collapse of the old world order. The North American coalition controlled the Western Hemisphere. The Eastern Federation held Asia and parts of Europe. The Southern Alliance claimed Africa and South America. For 20 years, they had fought a war that had no end in sight. Cities had been reduced to ash. Oceans had been poisoned. Nearly 2 billion people had died, and still the fighting continued. The generals knew that whoever struck first with everything they had would win. But they also knew that such a strike would leave the Earth uninhabitable for centuries. So they waited, building their weapons, planning their strategies, looking for any advantage that might let them win without destroying everything. Project Vanguard was supposed to be that advantage. Cole spent his first 6 months in a virtual world that existed only inside computers. To him, it felt like 30 years. He lived entire lifetimes in that digital space, fighting wars that had happened centuries ago, learning every combat technique humans had ever invented, dying thousands of times and being reborn each morning to do it again. The nanomachines in his blood made him stronger than any normal human. They healed his wounds in minutes. They sharpened his senses until he could hear a heartbeat from across a room. They connected his brain to computers, letting him process information faster than any soldier in history. But more than that, they made him cold. The scientists had removed certain things from his emotional makeup, things they considered weaknesses. Fear, doubt, mercy. They wanted a perfect weapon. And that is exactly what they got. General Victor Hayes came to see Cole on the day of his final evaluation. The general was an old man with white hair and tired eyes. He had been fighting this war since he was young, and he knew he would not live to see its end. "Show me what he can do," he said to Patricia. They put Cole in a simulation room and gave him a simple mission: assault a fortified enemy position held by 32 soldiers. The room created perfect holograms that looked and acted like real enemies. They shot back with weapons that caused real pain, though they could not cause real death. Cole moved through that room like nothing the general had ever seen. He did not run or charge like a normal soldier. He flowed, finding gaps in the enemy defense that should not have existed, striking from angles that should have been impossible. In 3 minutes and 47 seconds, every enemy hologram was dead. General Hayes watched the replay 5 times before he spoke. "When can he be deployed?" he asked. "He is ready now," Patricia answered. "Good, because our intelligence says the Eastern Federation is planning a full nuclear strike in 6 weeks. If that happens, everyone dies." Everyone. They sent Cole behind enemy lines with a team of 12 Special Forces soldiers. These were the best warriors the coalition had, men and women who had survived dozens of impossible missions. They were supposed to support Cole, to watch his back while he completed his objective. None of them came back alive except Cole. He did not talk about what happened during those 19 days. The mission reports were classified at the highest level, and the few people who read them never spoke of the contents. What the world knew was simple. Cole Briggs walked into enemy territory with 12 soldiers. 19 days later, he walked out alone, covered in blood that was mostly not his own. Behind him, the Eastern Federation's entire command structure lay in ruins. Their generals were dead. Their missile codes were destroyed. Their war was over. The Southern Alliance surrendered 3 days later, unwilling to face whatever demon the coalition had unleashed. They gave Cole medals. They called him a hero. They put his face on screens across the coalition and told people that he had saved humanity from extinction. And for a while, the people celebrated. The war was over. The killing had stopped. Earth could finally begin to heal. But Patricia watched Cole during the victory ceremonies, and she saw something that troubled her. He stood on the stage, accepting the applause of millions, and his face showed nothing. No pride, no satisfaction, no relief. He was a weapon that had completed its function. And now he had nothing left to do. "What happens to him now?" she asked General Hayes after the ceremony. The general was quiet for a long moment. "We keep him close," he said finally. "We give him a house, a salary, whatever he wants, and we hope we never need him again." "And if we do need him?" Hayes looked at her with those tired old eyes. "Then God help whoever we point him at." Cole moved to a small apartment in the mountains of Colorado. He ran every morning, 20 miles through trails that would kill a normal man. He read books about history and philosophy, trying to understand the species that had created him. He watched the news and saw humanity slowly putting itself back together, building new cities, making new treaties, trying to forget the horror of the war. Sometimes he wondered what it would feel like to be one of them, to have fears and hopes and dreams, to love someone, to want something beyond the next mission. But those thoughts never lasted long. He was what he was, a weapon, a tool, the last product of humanity's desperation. He was 43 years old when the sky filled with alien ships, and everything changed. The ships appeared on a Tuesday morning in March. Cole was running his usual trail when the sky turned dark, and he looked up to see something that should have been impossible. A vessel the size of a mountain floated above the clouds, blocking out the sun. He stopped running and watched as smaller craft descended from the main ship. They moved without sound, gliding through the air like fish through water. All across Earth, the same scene was playing out. 12 major cities, 12 massive ships. Humanity held its breath and waited for the end. But the end did not come. Instead, the aliens sent a message. "You have been observed. You have been judged worthy. You are invited to join the Galactic Concord." The message played in every language on Earth. It came through televisions, radios, phones, and computers. It even appeared in the minds of those who had no technology nearby, a gentle voice speaking words of welcome that carried an undertone of something else, something that sounded almost like a warning. Cole was recalled to duty within the hour. The North American coalition had merged with the other powers after the war, forming a unified Earth government. They called it the Human Alliance, and for 12 years it had focused on rebuilding what the war had destroyed. Now, suddenly, they faced something none of them had ever imagined. "We need you in Geneva," the message said. "The aliens want to talk." Cole flew across the Atlantic in a military jet and landed in a city that was barely recognizable. Geneva had been rebuilt after the war, its old buildings replaced with tall towers of glass and steel. Now those towers reflected the shadow of an alien ship that hung motionless in the sky above. The aliens called themselves the Keth. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and multiple eyes that blinked in patterns Cole could not understand. They spoke through translator devices that turned their clicks and whistles into flat, emotionless English. "We have watched your species for many years," the lead Keth said. His name was impossible for human mouths to pronounce, so they called him the Ambassador. "You are violent. You are primitive. You nearly destroyed yourselves." The human delegation sat in silence. Ambassador Linda Novak, the woman chosen to speak for Earth, kept her face calm even though Cole could hear her heart racing from across the room. "But you did not destroy yourselves," the ambassador continued. "This is interesting. Most species at your level of development do not survive. You are an exception." "What do you want from us?" Linda asked. "We want nothing from you. We are offering you something, a place in the Galactic Concord, membership in a community of over 300 intelligent species, access to technology, trade routes, and knowledge that your people cannot imagine." It sounded too good to be true. Cole had learned long ago that when something sounded too good to be true, it usually was. "What is the cost?" he asked. The ambassador turned all of his eyes toward Cole. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he made a sound that the translator rendered as something like a laugh. "You are the weapon," he said. "We have heard of you, the human who ended your final war. Interesting that they bring a weapon to a meeting of peace." "What is the cost?" Cole repeated. The ambassador blinked slowly. "The cost is simple. You have 100 of your years to prove your value to the Concord. During this time, you will be given tasks. You will complete them. If you prove useful, you will be accepted as full members. If you fail, your membership will be terminated." "Terminated how?" Linda asked. "Your planet will be sterilized. Your species will be erased. All records of your existence will be deleted from Concord archives. It is not personal. It is simply that the galaxy has no room for species that cannot contribute." The room went very quiet. Cole watched the faces of the human delegation and saw fear, anger, and disbelief. But he also saw something else: determination. "We accept," Linda said. The Keth took them to their regional headquarters, a space station that orbited a dead star 40 light-years from Earth. Cole had never been in space before, but he felt no wonder as he looked out the window at the passing stars. He was too busy analyzing, calculating, trying to understand what humanity had gotten itself into. The station was vast, a city in the void filled with hundreds of different species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Cole could not understand how they were alive. They walked on too many legs, or floated through the air, or slithered along the walls. They spoke in languages that sounded like music or thunder or breaking glass, and all of them looked at the humans with the same expression: contempt. "They think we are animals," Linda said quietly as they walked through the station's main hall. "Clever animals, but animals nonetheless." "They are not wrong," Cole said. "By their standards, we are primitive. We have had space travel for less than 2 centuries. Some of these species have been crossing the stars for 100,000 years. Does that bother you?" Cole considered the question. "No," he said finally. "It means they have forgotten what it feels like to struggle, what it feels like to fight for survival. That is a weakness." Linda looked at him with something like hope in her eyes. "You think we can do this? Prove ourselves worthy?" Cole did not answer right away. He watched the aliens passing by, studying their movements, their behaviors, their patterns. He saw how the older species treated the younger ones. He saw the hierarchy that existed beneath the surface of Concord politeness. "The Concord does not want us to succeed," he said. "They expect us to fail. They invited us because they need expendable workers, species willing to do the jobs that others will not." "Then what do we do?" Cole turned to face her, and for the first time since his creation, something like a smile crossed his face. "We do what humans have always done. We survive. We adapt. We make them regret underestimating us." That night, Alone in his quarters on the station, Cole looked out at the stars and felt something stirring in his chest. It was not the emptiness he had carried since his creation. It was not the cold efficiency that defined his existence. It was purpose. For 12 years he had been a weapon without a war, a tool without a function. Now, finally, he had something to fight for. Not a government or an ideology, not revenge or glory. He would fight for his species, for the billions of humans back on Earth who were counting on him without even knowing his name. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. They thought humans were just another primitive species doomed to fail. Cole was going to show them how wrong they were. He was built to win Earth's final war. Now he would fight the galaxies. The Concord gave humanity its first assignment 6 months after joining. They called it a peacekeeping mission. But Cole knew what it really was. A test. A way to measure how quickly humans would die. The target was a Vrex raiding party that had been attacking trade ships along a major route for nearly a year. 14 different Concord species had sent forces to stop them. All 14 had failed. Some had retreated. Others had been destroyed completely. The Vrex are apex predators, the Keth briefing officer explained, his multiple eyes showing something that might have been amusement. They come from a high-gravity world. Their bones are 3 times denser than yours. Their skin can stop most projectile weapons. They have natural claws that can tear through steel. Cole studied the holographic image of a Vrex warrior. It stood 8 feet tall, covered in thick plates of natural armor, with arms that ended in curved blades. Its face was a nightmare of teeth and fury. "How many are there?" he asked. "Approximately 400. They are based on Karen Station, an abandoned mining facility." "And how many soldiers do we have?" The officer blinked slowly. 300. Your entire expeditionary force." The humans in the room shifted uncomfortably. They had been chosen from the best military units on Earth, soldiers who had survived the war and proven themselves in countless battles. But this was different. This was fighting monsters in space, far from home, with technology they barely understood. Cole felt their fear. He understood it. But fear was a luxury they could not afford. "We will need 3 weeks," he said. 3 weeks for what? To study them, to learn how they fight, to find their weakness. The Keth officer made that laughing sound again. "The Vrex have no weakness. They are perfect killing machines. That is why they have never been defeated." Cole turned to face the officer directly. "Everything has a weakness. Humans learned that lesson millions of years ago when we were hunting animals bigger and stronger than ourselves with nothing but sticks and rocks. The Vrex are just another animal. A big, dangerous animal. But an animal nonetheless." For 3 weeks, Cole did nothing but research. He studied every recording of Vrex combat, watching how they moved, how they communicated, how they reacted to different situations. He read reports from the species that had fought them, looking for patterns that others had missed. His soldiers trained constantly, running simulations in the ship's combat room. Cole pushed them harder than they had ever been pushed, forcing them to fight in conditions that seemed impossible. Low gravity, no gravity, complete darkness, extreme heat and cold. "You are trying to kill us before the Vrex even get a chance," Sergeant Kevin Moore complained after a particularly brutal session. "I am trying to keep you alive," Cole replied. "The Vrex expect us to fight like every other species they have faced. We will not. We will fight like humans." On the night before the assault, Cole gathered his soldiers in the ship's cargo bay. 300 men and women looked up at him, their faces showing a mixture of fear and trust. "The Concord thinks we are going to die tomorrow," Cole said. "They sent us here because they believe we are expendable. Animals to be thrown at a problem too dangerous for civilized species to handle." He paused, letting his words sink in. "They are wrong. We are not expendable. We are the descendants of people who survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions. We are the children of hunters who chased their prey for days across endless plains, never stopping, never resting, until their prey collapsed from exhaustion. We are human beings and we do not know how to quit. He activated a holographic display showing the Vrex base. I have found their weakness. The Vrex come from a world with no natural fire. Their atmosphere is too thin, too dry. They have never evolved a response to combustion. They fear it on an instinctive level that they cannot control. Cole pointed to several locations on the map. We are going to burn them out. We will create chaos and confusion. We will split their forces and take them apart piece by piece. It will not be clean. It will not be honorable. But we will win. The assault on Karen Station began at midnight, station time. Cole led the first wave, moving through maintenance tunnels that the Vrex had not bothered to defend. His team placed incendiary charges at key points throughout the station, then retreated to safe positions. When the charges detonated, the Vrex responded exactly as Cole had predicted. They panicked. For the first time in their genetic memory, they faced an enemy that attacked with fire, and they did not know how to respond. Human soldiers poured through the chaos, striking fast and hard before disappearing back into the smoke. They did not try to fight the Vrex head-on. They ambushed them in corridors, shot them from behind, collapsed ceilings on their heads. They fought dirty and mean, and without any of the honor that older species considered essential to warfare. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, every Vrex on the station was dead. Cole found the Vrex war chief in the station's command center, the last of his kind still standing. The creature was massive, easily 9 feet tall, covered in scars from 100 battles. It looked at Cole with something like respect. "You fight without honor," it said, its voice a deep rumble that the translator could barely handle. "I fight to win," Cole replied. The war chief charged, moving faster than anything that size should be able to move. Cole did not try to match its strength. He let it come, then stepped aside at the last moment, driving a blade into the gap between its armor plates. The creature fell, blood spreading across the floor. "You are dangerous," it said with its dying breath. "Your kind will bring war to the galaxy." "We did not start this war," Cole said, "but we will finish it." News of the human victory spread across the Concord like wildfire. The impossible had happened. A primitive species, outnumbered and outgunned, had done what a dozen advanced civilizations could not. Cole stood in the station's observation deck, watching human shuttles evacuate their wounded. Major Nicole Grant, his second in command, walked up beside him. "The Keth ambassador wants to speak with you," she said. "He seems upset." Cole smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Good," he said. "They should be." 5 years passed after the Battle of Karen Station. In that time, humanity changed everything. Cole's unit grew from 300 soldiers to 3,000, then to 30,000. The Human Alliance sent its best and brightest to serve under his command, and Cole trained them in the way of war that had won their first impossible victory. They learned to fight without honor, without mercy, without the rules that other species considered sacred. They were deployed to every corner of the sector, pirate fleets, rebel colonies, criminal organizations that had operated for centuries without fear of punishment. One by one, they fell before human weapons and human determination. "They call us the Wolves," Nicole told Cole one evening as they reviewed mission reports on their new flagship. "The other species, they say we hunt like wolves, patient, relentless, never stopping until the prey is dead." Cole nodded slowly. "That is what we are, what we have always been." The Concord's elder races watched humanity's rise with growing concern. They had invited humans to serve as expendable soldiers, cannon fodder for the dangerous jobs that nobody wanted. Instead, they had created something far more troubling, a military power that was growing stronger every day. Cole was promoted to fleet commander, the first human ever to hold such a rank. The Conquered Council gave him a new ship, designed by human engineers using the best technology the galaxy had to offer. It was sleek and deadly, built for speed and destruction in equal measure. He named it the Persistence. An odd name for a warship, the Keth ambassador commented during the naming ceremony. It is a human concept, Cole explained. Our ancestors used to hunt by chasing their prey for days, never stopping to rest, never giving up. Eventually, the prey would collapse from exhaustion, and the hunter would claim its kill. We call it persistence hunting. The ambassador's many eyes blinked rapidly. That is disturbing. That is human. Not everyone in the Concord was disturbed by humanity's success. Some of the younger species saw hope in what humans had accomplished. If primitive newcomers could rise so quickly, perhaps they too could escape the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. Cole received messages from their leaders, carefully worded offers of friendship and alliance. He answered all of them, building a network of contacts that stretched across the sector. He knew that when the elder races finally moved against humanity, they would need all the friends they could get. The first assassination attempt came on Cole's 49th birthday. He was walking through a market on a neutral station when a Sarathi merchant stepped forward and sprayed him with acid. The liquid burned through Cole's jacket and began eating into his skin, but the nanomachines in his blood responded instantly. They neutralized the acid and began repairing the damage before he even felt the pain. Cole grabbed the assassin by the throat and held him off the ground. "Who sent you?" he asked calmly. The Sarathi spit in his face. "The old order will not be replaced by animals. You will all die screaming." Cole broke his neck and let the body fall. Around him, the market had gone silent. Hundreds of aliens stared at the scene, their faces showing fear and shock and something else. Something that looked almost like awe. 7 more assassination attempts followed over the next 2 years. Poison, explosives, energy weapons, a specially engineered virus designed to attack human DNA. Cole survived them all, though the last attack cost him his left arm. "We can grow you a new one," the human doctor said, preparing the medical equipment. "It will take about a week." "Do it," Cole said, "and find out who was responsible." The investigation led to a coalition of elder species who called themselves the Preservers. They believed that the natural order of the galaxy was sacred, that younger species should know their place and accept their role as servants to their betters. Humanity's rise was an insult to everything they held dear. Cole brought the evidence to the Concord Council, expecting them to take action. Instead, they dismissed his concerns. "These are internal matters," the council speaker said. "The Preservers have broken no Concord laws. They tried to kill me, multiple times. You are a soldier. Soldiers die. It is the nature of your role." Cole stood in the center of the council chamber, surrounded by representatives of 300 species. Most of them looked at him with contempt or indifference. A few showed sympathy, but they said nothing. "I understand," Cole said quietly. "The laws only apply to those you consider worthy of protection." He turned and walked out of the chamber without waiting to be dismissed. Nicole was waiting for him in the corridor outside. "What happened?" she asked. "They are going to start a war," Cole said. "The elder races. They would rather burn the Concord down than let humans keep rising." Nicole's face went pale. "Can we win?" Cole did not answer immediately. He walked to a viewport and looked out at the stars, millions of points of light stretching into infinity. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. 8 billion humans who had survived one extinction event and were now facing another. "We have to," he said finally. "If we lose, our species dies. If we win, we change the galaxy forever." He turned to face her. Send a message to Earth. Tell them to begin full military production. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier they can spare. And contact our friends among the younger species. It is time to see who is willing to stand with us. The Council will call that a provocation. The Council has already declared war. They just have not said the words yet. I am not going to wait for them to strike first. For 5 years, Cole had been playing by the Concord's rules. He had done their dirty work, taken their missions, and proven his worth at every opportunity. He had hoped that would be enough to earn humanity a place at the table. Now he understood the truth. There was no place at the table for humans. The elder races would never accept them as equals. They would have to make their own table. And if the galaxy burned in the process, so be it. The coalition of elder races declared war on a cold morning in February, Earth time. They called themselves the Guardians of Order, and they claimed humanity had violated ancient treaties that no human had ever signed. It was a lie, and everyone knew it was a lie. But lies did not matter anymore. 12 species joined the coalition, bringing a combined fleet of over 10,000 warships. They had technology that humanity could barely understand. Weapons that could crack planets open like eggs, shields that could stop almost anything. Against them, humanity had less than 2,000 ships and a handful of alien allies who were almost as primitive as they were. Every calculation said humans would lose. Every simulation predicted their extinction within months. The elder races were so confident of victory that they broadcast their war plans openly, wanting humanity to know exactly how they would die. Cole watched the broadcast in the command center of the Persistence, surrounded by his senior officers. When it ended, the room was silent. He could feel the fear in the air, heavy and thick. They want us to be afraid, he said. They want us to surrender before the first shot is fired. That is how they have won wars for 10,000 years. Intimidation, psychological warfare, making their enemies give up before the fight even starts. He stood and walked to the main display, pulling up a map of the galaxy. But they have never fought humans. They do not understand what we are. He pointed to Earth, a tiny blue dot on the edge of the display. For millions of years, we were the weakest creatures on our planet. We had no claws, no fangs, no armor. Every predator could kill us. Every disease could wipe us out. We should have gone extinct 100 times over. His voice grew stronger. But we did not. We survived. We adapted. We learned to use tools and fire and language. We built cities and empires. We fought each other and killed each other, and somehow, through all of it, we kept going. We are still here because we refuse to die. He turned to face his officers. The elder races think they are better than us. They think their technology and their history make them superior. But they have forgotten something that we never will. In the end, wars are not won by ships or weapons. Wars are won by those who are willing to pay the highest price. And nobody pays a higher price than humans. The war lasted 3 years. Historians would call it the most brutal conflict the galaxy had ever seen. Cole did not try to match the elder races in direct combat. He knew he could not win that way. Instead, he struck at their weaknesses, the things they had grown too comfortable to protect. Supply lines, communication networks, the political alliances that held their coalition together. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished before the enemy could respond. They attacked at night, during festivals, in the middle of peace negotiations. They showed no mercy and asked for none in return. The elder races called it barbaric. Cole called it effective. Slowly, painfully, the tide began to turn. Coalition members started to argue among themselves, blaming each other for their failures. Some of the younger species broke away and joined humanity, bringing fresh ships and soldiers to the fight. The Battle of the Keth homeworld was the moment everything changed. Cole led a strike force of 50 ships against a defensive fleet of 400. It should have been suicide. Instead, it became the greatest victory in human history. The Keth had arranged their ships in a traditional defensive formation, the same pattern they had used successfully for thousands of years. Cole had studied that pattern during the long nights of the war, looking for weaknesses that no one else had noticed. He found them. Human ships slipped through gaps in the Keth formation that should not have existed. They targeted power systems and shield generators, leaving enemy vessels helpless. They used captured Keth ships as weapons, driving them into the heart of the defensive line. By the time it was over, Cole had lost 32 of his 50 ships. But the Keth had lost everything. Their orbital defenses were gone. Their fleet was scattered. For the first time in their history, their homeworld was exposed. Cole did not bomb the planet. He did not have to. The message had been sent. The conquered council met in emergency session 6 months later. The coalition of elder races had collapsed. Half its members had surrendered. The other half were retreating to their home systems, more concerned with protecting themselves than continuing a war they could no longer win. The peace treaty was signed on Earth in the city of Geneva, the same place where humanity had first met the Keth. It was not a treaty between equals. It was a surrender, written in human terms, dictated by human demands. Cole stood in the back of the room as the Keth ambassador signed the document. The alien's hands were shaking. His multiple eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of deep distress. "You have changed everything," the ambassador said. "The old order is gone. Nothing will ever be the same." "That was the point," Cole replied. After the ceremony, Cole walked to a balcony overlooking the city. Dr. Patricia Lawson joined him there, moving slowly with the help of a cane. She was very old now, her hair white and thin, her body worn down by time. "You knew," Cole said without looking at her. "When you created me, you knew this would happen." Patricia was quiet for a long moment. "I knew that humanity would face a crisis someday," she said finally. "A moment when everything we were would be tested. I wanted to give us the best chance of survival. And now? What happens now that we have survived?" She smiled, a tired but genuine expression. "Now we build. Now we grow. Now we show the galaxy that humans are more than just warriors. We are dreamers and builders and creators. We can make things as well as destroy them." Cole looked up at the sky, at the stars that were now open to his species in ways they had never been before. Somewhere out there, other young races were watching. They had seen what humanity had done. They were wondering if they could do the same. "There will be more wars," he said. "More challenges. More enemies who think they can destroy us." "Yes," Patricia agreed. "There always will be. That is the nature of the universe." Cole nodded slowly. He was tired. For the first time since his creation, he felt the weight of everything he had done. All the death, all the destruction, all the choices that had led to this moment. But he also felt something else. Pride. Not in himself, but in his species. In the billions of humans who had stood together against impossible odds and refused to break. They were built to win Earth's final war. They had won the galaxy's war as well. And whatever came next, they would face it together.